hearing is current energy situation. Today we have speaking Secretary of Energy, Paul Bursch. Paul.
Thank you. Secretary Bursch, how important is African oil?
West African oil makes up 30% of all newly discovered oil reserves. African oil production is about 10 million barrels per day, and the continent supplies 19% of U.S. oil imports. However, there are ethical concerns about African oil because many of the oil exporting countries fail to use their oil reserves to lift their citizens out of poverty.
Secretary, should we all go out to economize the use of oil to make it last longer?
Oil conservation is an important part of our energy future. Two major ways that consumer oil demand can be reduced is by increasing fuel efficiency requirements for cars and trucks and by building more energy-efficient houses. However, a longer-term solution is to redefine how people travel in the United States. By redesigning cities to take advantage of public transportation, walking, and biking, we can reduce the number of cars on the road. Cities of the future should allow consumers to live, work, and shop without needing a car. We can also incentivize employers to move into population centers and give incentives to workers to relocate closer to their workplaces.
Secretary, what are our oil resources?
The United States has about 21 billion barrels of oil reserves remaining. Assuming production continues at its current rates, our oil reserves will be depleted in only 11 years. Our neighbor to the north, Canada, has the second largest oil reserves in the world at about 179 billion barrels. However, their production is not very high because most of this oil is in oil sands in Alberta. Extracting oil from the oil sands is expensive and environmentally damaging, as it requires a great deal of water. Recently, high oil prices have encouraged a boom in oil production in Alberta. Oil sands make up about 30% of the world's oil reserves. In fact, only 30% of oil is in a conventional form. The other types of oil require additional refinement and expensive extraction.
Secretary, what are we doing to meet demand?
Several efforts are being made to meet oil demand. The first effort is to remove federal restrictions on offshore oil drilling. However, even if this effort passes Congress, it would take at least 5 years for oil production in these regions to increase. OPEC can easily reduce production to offset any increase in oil production to keep oil prices high. One effort that would make a significant change is to introduce new refinery capacity by loosening environmental restrictions that have discouraged construction of new refineries for over 30 years. Another effort being made is the research of new sources of energy for vehicles, including electric cars, hybrid cars, and increased federal mandates for ethanol fuel content in gasoline.
Aren't we increasing the cost of our own food by using ethanol as a fuel source?
You're right. It takes 26 pounds of corn to produce 1 gallon of ethanol fuel. UN studies have indicated that increased ethanol production has increased food prices worldwide. That does not mean, however, that biofuels are not a good alternative to gasoline. Brazil is an example of a country that is making biofuel work. 90% of new Brazilian cars use ethanol as their primary fuel. Their ethanol is made of sugar cane, which produces 30% more energy per bushel than corn. If our entire corn production was used for ethanol, it would only cover about 4% of our energy needs. However, ethanol made from switchgrass, a quick-growing plant, and from agricultural waste could be good alternatives to create fuel without affecting food prices.